Hello, hello. Welcome back to the channel. We are going to be talking about why resonator and scattershot both suck in Spright, and is presented by me. We're doing a presentation today, something different, because I want to talk about a smaller topic that shouldn't really have to be addressed, but I feel like at this point, so many people are committed to actually using those cards. So here is a presentation on why it sucks. So first of all, why are we playing time cards, and what exactly are time cards? So time cards are essentially cards that will either burn your opponent, doing direct damage to them without going through the battle phase, or cards that will give you more life points. Now, why does this matter? Well, this is because Yu-Gi-Oh! Has this really fun rule of determining how to give player wins after the time is called. And right now the matches are a total of 45 minutes for all three rounds. Well, maximum for all three rounds, a best of three, I should say. And how else can we determine a winner if we don't want draws happening everywhere? Because typically a match played out, assuming both players combo out and have a bit of back and forth, might take over 45 minutes for two games, which means you'll have a lot of ties. And so that's the way they determine it. At the end of a phase, I'm sure many of you are aware, but at the end of the phase, whoever has more life points is crowned the winner if time is called. Now, why are time cards bad, and why is this rule bad? Well, because it creates more confusion that needs more explaining. And what I mean by that is you have to explain to the judges more. You have to explain the entire scenario, exactly what happened, and then it becomes a case of he said, she said, which is never too easy to determine as the judge. And it just becomes a big hassle every single time if, it comes down to that. Now, is there a better way? Probably not. Maybe let the players play out the entire turn. But it does also mean that the players have to become more vigilant when it comes to whether their opponent's stalling, being more vigilant in calling out. Things like that. And it also stops deck with fun concepts involving life points from existing in the metagame. Now, what do I mean by this? Let's go to the next slide. This top right photo here, how often does Dynamorphia lose in time? I pulled all of these from Reddit because I was like, oh yeah, these are kind of relevant. Dynamorphia is my favorite deck right now, and I'm looking to play it at locals. However, I've only been playing it on Dueling Book, and thus the constant life point deficit never really comes up. How much of a problem is this in person though? And this is by Dudes Before Nudes. Well, sadly, I feel like Dynamorphia does lose all the time in time, especially at the locals where people want to win a little bit more and will probably play at a slower pace. And so having to play a deck that literally is based around lowering your life points to singular digits and then stopping your opponent from playing and winning through that means it's going to be quite rough trying to, I guess, not lose in time. So decks like this cease to become popular just because of that sole reason. This guy here did a coat, rants about his scenario at locals, about time. Goes back to this, right? Usually creates more confusion than needs. That needs more explaining, and it's just I don't want to read all this. As the judge, I don't want to hear about it about this either. It indirectly actually prolongs the entire round because everyone then has to wait for these two guys to resolve their shit. So it doesn't work out too well. And overall, the main reason is just it's not fun. If you're purposely playing slow or playing cards on the side with time cards, with the excuse of oh yeah, what if my opponent stalls and I need to do burn damages? Just play faster, right? Or don't play a deck that requires 6,000 combos. I say this, but I am also, I was a part of the problem at some point. This Cupid pitch here amongst the other 4 time cards, is a card that I actually used. A lot of you won't know what it does. Basically, it reduces or increases level based on whatever it was using as the tuner. And it also burns your opponent based on what you synchro into. So let's say I synchro summon like a... My god, it's been a while. Omega. So that's level 8. It will burn the opponent for 800 because it's equal to the stars times 100. And it also searches some other card. But yeah, this was played in Synchrons. That was the deck that I picked up when I started playing this game again. It's been like 2-3 years, I want to say. Yeah, around then. But it was part of the combo to actually extend and not for the sole reason of burning, right? So these in-deck, inbuilt, like life point gain / burn cards, I feel like, you know, it's kind of nifty, but at the same time, it incentivizes players to just play a little slower. In saying that, even though Synchron is a really combo-heavy deck, I always played, you know, not optimally. I made many mistakes. I tried to play as fast as I could, so I can give my opponent a turn to actually try and play against it, because I do not like winning in time. Now, Scattershot here, this fun little card saw a lot of play in like the tier format because the tier turns just took 20 years. The other cards like Runic life gain, yay. Lacrima, which is now banned, burns your opponent, boo. And Long Yuan also burns your opponent when used as synchro material. So all these cards inbuilt into the decks, aside from Scattershot, which is sided in. Now let's talk about its applications in Spright. So how can Sprites use these 2 cards, and what do they do? Well, Scattershot, when it's sent to grave, just burns for your opponent for 500 life points. And the second effect is irrelevant. You only play 1 to burn the 500. And you can dump using Sprind. That was one of the main ways you could get that out. The other one is Red Resonator, which, you know, actually has an effect. If you end up drawing it, it's not like, you know, completely useless. So when this card is normal summon, you can special summon 1 level 4 lower monster from your hand. I can't say that it comes up too much, but it is kind of like 2 bodies in one if you don't already... Let's say you have like 2 Spright Blues in your hand. Or let's say you have, I don't know, like a Melfi Caddy or like an Angler even. It becomes another body, right? So it's kind of usable. But the other effect is if it's special summoned, you can target 1 face-up monster on the field, gain life points equal to its attack. So that one is also pretty good for time, right? As you can imagine, you summon Gigantic, you summon the Resonator, you target Gigantic, gain 16. Oh, time is called, and that's game. So another cheap way of getting a win. Of course, you could also get it back with Elf. So if you drew this and then back when Elf was legal, you could summon it back on your opponent's turn, or just in the same main phase, in fact. Get it back and gain some life points. Yeah. So on the left here, these are the 2 main ways that Spright can win, right? Because it's very much like an all-in do or die. You stop your opponent from playing completely if you're going first, or you OTK them going second. Let's move on to what we can do, relevant to that last point that I just made. So 4 main points here. I'm going to go through them all first, and then I'll break them down. Okay, so first one is win faster, lose faster, play better cards, and play smart. Now, what does win faster mean? It means, well, Spright, for starters, already has quite a linear line, right? Like the combos, they won't have too much variance in comparison to other decks where you have to, think a bit more. It's quite simple. Get 2s on boards, onto the board, and then just make a Gigantic, summon other dudes, make a Toad, put on like a red or a carrot, set a double cross, make a Sprind, maybe make like a Melfi or like an IP or whatever you want, right? Or the little rabbit. It has linear lines, which means you don't have much variance. You don't need to think too much. You play a couple of times, you kind of get the idea of what the deck can and can't do, what you should and shouldn't do. You can win faster, okay? Just make a mosquito, go smack some boy, and make like a couple more bodies, trying to burn them for that amount of damage, and then just win the game on the spot. Don't wait until time, right? That being said also, mosquito is kind of like burn damage, but if you go into the battle phase, you're probably already like in a pretty good position where you don't really need to do that. Unless they have their monsters in defense, then like you can, burn them. Second one is lose faster. How does losing faster equate to winning? Well, let's say you're going first, game 1, you win, great. Game 2, your opponent like combos for 16 years, and you look at your hand, it's like, wow, I have, because these guys are on the screen, 3 Spright Blues and 2 Swap Frogs against a full Snake Eyes, Fiendsmith garbage board, whatever, right? Or U-Bell, or whatever the top deck is. You go, oh wow, I can't beat that. So when they normal summon Ash, Snake Eye Ash, not Ash Blossom, you go, okay, I can't win, and you scoop. Especially if the time is like, let's say like sub 15 or 20 minutes, right? Because then you go, okay, I can't break that board with my hand. Here we'll be able to pop everything, unless I like top deck, I don't know, like deodorant or something to like stop your opponent from playing the game because they fear, I don't know, Yu-Gi-Oh players like hate hygiene, they hate deodorant, right? Like what I'm trying to say is there are no good cards sometimes that will actually break a board. You can wait the entire time trying to draw that one card, but generally if you have like a good sense that you're going to not be able to break the board going second, just scoop early. That's what lose faster means, right? And sometimes you open a couple of hand traps, you open like an Ash and Imperm, you chalk those out, they keep going, they don't give a shit, right? They make like a really formidable board anyway. You can't break it, scoop, okay? But this comes kind of hand in hand with more practice, because you need to practice to know what you can and can't do, what you can and can't break through. You need to know your opponent's deck and what they end on generally, given what they have and what you've seen so far. If you know that they can disrupt your starting plays and that you can't stick a 2 on the board, just scoop, right? It's faster, okay? The next one, play better cards. So if you are playing the Resonator or the Scattershot, that means you have the intention of summoning the Resonator off of Gigantic, or you intend to dump it with Sprint. Instead of playing those cards, you can play Swap Frog, right? And Swap Frog dumps the Mirror Mage. The Mirror Mage searches your spell, you use a spell to bring the Mirror Mage back, and then you overlay into Toad. You go, wow, that's really good. I have an Omni Negate. Whereas, sorry, I'm making myself laugh here. Whereas, if you side the other ones in, like let's say you don't go into time, and your opponent, I don't know why I sided in the first place, but what I'm trying to say is you can side in better cards, like put better cards in your side deck, I should say, instead of those 2 cards. And then also, you're stopping yourself from summoning the Swap Frog into the Toad if you do play Resonator. And if your opponent somehow, miraculously does damage to you anyway, well then, to cancel out the Resonator effect, then you're kind of back to square one and probably going to lose. Last one is play smart. So if there's 2 minutes left, don't side in Cosmic, even if you're going second against like a Runic stun deck, right? Or you can consider not playing Starter. If you're going first and you're comboing off and you're like, Starter. And they go, let me think for 2 minutes. And then the time is called. You go, I'm on 69 and I lose because I use a Starter. Just be a little bit more careful, right? I've done that before, so I'm not saying like it's uncommon. I've done it. But like sometimes you're just not able to see the clock or something, right? But just play your games faster, and that's quite rare. Like play your games faster, and you'll be able to just get to your last game a lot faster. Thank you for watching. Here's a Melfield of the Forest. I hope you guys have a lovely day. I will continue uploading more videos shortly. This was just a quick one to throw out in the meantime because I keep seeing people commenting or asking about it in like the Facebook groups, or like I see lists including these 2 cards, and it's just a bit of a personal gripe for me. Alright, see you guys soon. I'll probably make a tutorial on Fuarlos and Perulia after I've played a couple of locals against those cards. I think there should be a way we can optimally combo, and I will test that out and I'll make a video because I feel like that's what everyone needs. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Laters. Bye.